delegation headed by the Vice President of India, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, philosopher, statesman, and diplomat, which reflects Indian interest in this highly strategic realm of Nepal. In a counter-move of power politics, the Chinese Reds have sent an imposing delegation, headed by no less than the Vice Premier of China, Hulan Fu. Communists at a coronation may seem odd, but the Chinese Reds are quite willing to play a game of intrigue at a royal court. The stakes are high. Possible control of Nepal on the Indian side of the Himalayas. The American delegation arriving in Kathmandu, including magnetic Mrs. Robert Lowe Baker, prominent in civic and political affairs of Washington and New York, accompanied by our tall acting ambassador in India, Frederick Bartlett, and his lady. Over there on the left, a world-famous name in medicine, Dr. Charles Mayo of the Mayo Clinic with Mrs. Mayo. Oh yes, there is one other member of the American delegation. The United States, the only country to send 3 full ambassadors to this Himalayan coronation. The Chief of Protocol, Sardar Prakat Man Singh, meets me with a most impressive 1929 Buick. License number, if you can read it, 46. The 46th automobile ever to reach this country. The forests of Nepal are famous for their herds of wild elephant, many of whom are captured and tamed. Kathmandu traffic hazards include elephants. We're about to drive over an American steel bridge, every part of which was carried over the mountains by men. Nice, quiet bridge. Frantic last-minute decorations are going up everywhere. The legend is that the tree of paradise, taking the form of a man, strolled into this valley, liked it, and promised to send some sacred wood for a shrine, which he did. Kat, meaning wood, Mandu, structure. A city of 250,000 people, with hundreds of temples and shrines. After saying a prayer, this Buddhist monk places a flower on his head. Many Nepalese still adhere to the aboriginal spirit and demon worship of Bumpoism, others to Hinduism, and many are Buddhists. This image of Kali, the destroyer, tells us that it is a land of exotic religions. god Vishnu, many Nepalese call him Narayan, reclining on the serpent of eternity, sculptured more than 1,000 years ago. The burning ghats, where the dead are cremated just as in India along the Ganges. Ashes thrown into the river where children splash and play. Meanwhile, from one of the palaces to which visiting ambassadors are assigned, we ride in state to present our credentials to King Mahendra in silk topper and striped pants. All delegations instructed to bring formal clothes. At the palace to present my credentials, accompanied by Chuda Prasad Sharma, the Nepalese foreign minister, and by Paul Rose, head of the American Technical Aid Mission to Nepal, who borrowed his topper from the British ambassador. I am told that I must bow 3 times before His Majesty. Let's see if I do it right. Your Majesty, I've come halfway around the world to present the congratulations of my country. May I present Mr. Rose of the United States Mission?
Your Majesty, I'm honored.
King Mahendra Bir Bikram Shah Deva is kept busy with ceremonies and conferences. For long generations, Nepal was ruled by those hereditary prime ministers of the Rana family. But in 1951, Mahendra's father, King Tribhuvana, grew tired of being a puppet, escaped from the palace, flew to India, and then came rebellion in Nepal. And the rule of the hereditary Rana prime ministers collapsed, and the king returned a real sovereign. But only for a short time, and upon his death, his son seized the throne. Chinese Reds in their severely cut black robes, the uniform of communism. The Red Ambassador arriving for an audience with the king, escorted by the Nepalese Foreign Minister Chuda Prasad Sharma. Behind the scenes, the game of power politics is in full swing. Soon after this coronation event, the news came, a treaty signed between the Chinese Reds and King Mahendra's Nepal. The British delegation, in the blue mantle of a Knight of the Garter, Lord Scarborough, Chamberlain to the Queen, former Air Minister Lord Delisle, General Anderson, a British commander in Malaya, and an Oxford scholar in full academic robes. Gurkha troops from the British Army fighting the Reds in Malaya. The Gurkhas originally were Rajput warriors in India. Centuries ago, they fled from the Muslim invaders, conquered Nepal, and later the British recruited them for the Gurkha regiments of the Kipling tradition. And Lord Scarborough presents a sword to King Mahendra, informing him that he is now an honorary British general. eyes of Buddha overlooking Kathmandu. Tradition says he was born in Nepal, the teacher of nirvana and the law. The eyes of Buddha penetrating, inscrutable. Eyes of mystery that see all you do in Kathmandu. Before the entrance to the shrine, pilgrims prostrate themselves and chant Om Mani Padme Om. Om Mani Padme Om. While the prayer wheels spin, each turn 1,000 prayers. Well, what pilgrims are these? Say, you fellows, you're going the wrong way. Your prayers won't be heard at all unless you turn and go the other way. Still looking for their dream world, even in far Kathmandu. The day of the big event. Hanuman Dolka Square, named after Hanuman, the monkey god. The place of the coronation, just inside the temple courtyard to the right. And more than 1 million people have thronged into the city from all parts of Nepal. Marco Polo tradition of the gorgeous East, now becoming a thing of the past. China, communist and grim. India, a parliamentary democracy. The little crown prince arriving at the temple courtyard. King, regarded as a divinity, a reincarnation of the god Vishnu. In simple white raiment, passing through a golden doorway, he has been purified, anointed with mud from an elephant stable for strength, from the Himalayas for wisdom. He has only one wife, although he could have many, but he prefers monogamy. One queen, her name, Ratnarama Permission. So now their Himalayan majesties take their places with powerful Cinerama lights illuminating the throne of the 9 golden serpents. Dr. Mayo and I, among other delegates, have good places, but you in the Cinerama audience have a far better view. The astrologers consulting the stars have calculated the exact minute. 10:43 a.m. And at that instant, King Mahendra is crowned with a diadem surmounted by a plume of the greater bird of paradise. sword and scepter, emblems of kingship. Then the ritual is done. Like a sinister ghost at the park, the Chinese communists, again in black. Then the climax of the Durbar, the coronation parade in a land of elephants. Mounts and dismounts a white horse. His every move this day dictated by traditions of old. Platters of flowers for a scattering of petals before the king. Enough to shake the daylights out of you when your elephant gets up. Children ride in a carriage, including the Crown Prince. Up you go, Your Royal Highness. Note the rare white plume of that greater bird of paradise, adorning a crown encrusted with hundreds of pearls, diamonds, and emeralds. The golden umbrella, sign of royalty in Southern Asia. Look who's joining the procession. Daughters of American officials are invited to take part in the parade. The Sarge talking them into taking him and the Major along, too. Our two fugitives from the machine age who have found themselves in some peculiar situations on this journey, now with a Himalayan coronation for a climax. out, General. So ends a royal durbar, such as man in this fast-changing, mechanized world may never see again.